Welcome to the Hamsi Analytics Daily Market Commentary. I'm Paulo Navarro. Today is Friday, April 20, 2012. For the markets, the S&P 500 futures saw a high of the day of 1383.25 and a low of the day of 1373.5. We closed at 1375. Today's volume was 1.8 million contracts, in line with the 20-day moving average. For the Nasdaq futures, we saw a high of the day of 2708 and a low of the day of 2669.75. We closed at 2674. Today's volume was 290,000 contracts, a little higher than the 20-day moving average of 280,000 contracts. For the market internals, the New York Stock Exchange Advanced Decline Differential closed at 826. The Nasdaq Advanced Decline Differential closed at 490. There were 29 new 52-week highs for the S&P 500 and 3 new 52-week lows for the S&P 500. For the volatility, there were almost 300,000 contracts traded today on the VIX, and the total premium paid was 61.5 million. For the dollar-weighted put-call ratio on May, we saw a 0.42 reading with 33% of the total premiums paid. On June, we saw a 0.18 reading with 41% of the total premiums paid. Okay, here we have the daily chart for ES. As you can see here, we're basically 2.5 handles into the close. We're 2 minutes to the close. Not much, basically flat for the day. Again, we should mention that we touched the 0.6 line and bounced back down again. Not positive. This is the third time in a row that we've done it. Tried to make new highs and we are not able to do it. So that's CI is flat, CI div is flat. So not much happening here. We're trying to make new highs. We're not able right now. We're closing around 1375 for the day. For the weekly chart, as you can see here, we had a positive week, not much. We continue to be on the 0.6 to 1.6 channel. We need to break that and go again to the positive 2 sigma channel. For CI on the weekly chart, we continue to be red, which is a little bit overbought on the weekly, but again the slope does continue to build on the downside for the weekly, which is not positive, but we'll see what happens. For the moving averages, you can see here we bounced off the 50-day moving average today. So we're basically on a range between the 20-day moving average and the 50-day moving average. Basically, we're trading around those levels throughout the past week or so. So we either need to break above the 20-day moving average and go higher, or just break down the 50-day and go and test maybe the 1334 level that we talked about, or even the 100-day moving average at 1321. So those are the levels we'll be watching on ES. Okay, here we have the daily chart for gold futures. As you can see, we're basically flat, $1.6 higher on gold. Much of anything. Some consolidation here today. Today was options expiration, so everything was basically boxed in. Not much movement. We continue to see some resistance on the 1657 level, which is the 20-day moving average. And on the downside, we're still looking for the 1600 once we break these lows of 1616 or 13. So those are the levels watching on gold. For the weekly chart on gold, as you can see here, we're really close to touching that trend line. We do need to touch it and go higher, or break it and go below it. So the 1600 level is now getting closer to 605, 6010 for the next week. So we'll see what happens with this weekly trend line that we have drawn here. For silver, silver today was negative 0.3%, but still again very tight range on silver here. As you can see, we're still having problems breaking the 20-day moving average on the upside. We need to break this lower support that we've been creating at 31 level to see the 20s on silver futures. So we continue to see some consolidation here on silver on the daily chart. As for the weekly chart, we bounced off almost the 100 weekly moving average. Not much importance here on this average right now. We're basically trying to either build momentum and go higher. You could see we're consolidating here and then breaking even lower to test the 29 level that we talk about on the daily chart. For the VIX, today we broke the 50-day moving average to the downside and the 20-day moving average, but we were not able to close below them. We closed up a little above those moving averages at 17.44, down 5% for the day. Nothing big on the VIX. We're still in the range that we've been talking about, in between the 50-day moving average and the 100-day moving average. So we need to see what happens on the VIX, if we're gonna go lower and test the lows that we've talked about, or if we're gonna break higher and see more volatility coming to the market.